The AKs-74u, a distinctive Kalashnikov family weapon, is truly one of a kind. With it, you could have the power of an assault rifle and a weapon the size of a submachine gun, being able to carry it with you in any vehicle without it getting in your way. This weapon was undoubtedly an exceptional weapon, however. If you ask a Russian soldier what fought in the First Chechen War, he would probably tell you that the weapon is really horrible. In this conflict, the soldiers who used the weapon were desperately looking to exchange it for another from the Kalashnikov family whenever they had the opportunity. It's a similar case to the early versions of the 1016s in Vietnam, where the Americans, often in combat, took the Vietnamese rifles to replace their unreliable 1016s. The case of the 1016s is well known, but those of the AKs-74u, or Krinkov, as it is colloquially known in the United States, is one of those anecdotes that few people know. So why did Soviet and Russian soldiers hate this specific Kalashnikov weapon compared to other similar ones from the same family? In this video, we will explore and try to answer this question. We will talk about the origin of the Kalashnikov family of 74, and why not. We will know much more about the AKs-74u Krinkov. So grab something to drink. My name is Kevin Aguilar, and this, of course, is Gunsla. (1974) was a quite promising year for the Soviet Union. The AK-74 had just been put into mass production, and the new family of weapons seemed to have the same success as the previous Kalashnikov AKM family. However, the engineers who designed the 74 series weapons forgot about a quite important segment of the armed force. The crews of both air and ground vehicles had been carrying for almost 2 decades, without having a compact weapon to use in their work during the 60s. Stalin had promoted the use of personal defense weapons like the APS pistol or the BZ-61 Scorpion to be used in armored vehicles. But clearly these weapons were inadequate, as they used the 9x18 Makarov, having a quite low stopping power. And as these weapons have a very high rate, the only realistic way to hit targets beyond 30 meters was using the weapon in semi-automatic mode, so these ended up acting more like pistols than automatic weapons. To solve this problem, the Soviets would end up being inspired by the Americans, who had tested carbine versions of the AR-15 in Vietnam. Rifles like the XM1777 were extremely useful for special forces like the Green Berets in Vietnam. All of this led to the immediate start of production of the AK-74 and the initiation of the modern program, which sought to replace all these compact weapons with an automatic carbine that could be perfectly integrated into the new Kalashnikov series. Likewise, the most prominent gunsmiths of the Soviet Union presented their prototypes for this competition. Igor Skechin, creator of the APS pistol, presented the TKB-0116. Sergei Simonov, creator of the SKS carbine, presented the AG-43. Alexander Konstantinov, creator of the AEG weapon series, unveiled the AEG-958. Jenny Dragunov, creator of the Dragunov sniper rifle, presented the MA model. And Mikhail Kalashnikov, of course, creator of the AK-47, would present the PP-1. All the models were excellent, and in fact, had they not been competing against the PP-1, they would have been approved for manufacture. However, Mikhail Kalashnikov's PP-1 ended up winning specifically because of the muzzle, which had a special flame pack that suppressed the flash and part of the sound, being a very good feature for these weapons to be used by special forces and within vehicles. In addition, the PP-1 shared almost all of its components with the Kalashnikov family, so its production would be extremely simple, being a very modular weapon. But also, let's not kid ourselves. We know that anything Kalashnikov invented was going to be accepted by the Soviet high command, good or bad. So from the beginning, the other designers had little chance. In 75, all the components of the Red Army previously in need of a carbine got what they needed. However, criticisms and problems quickly began to rain down on the use of the AKs-74u. The first to desist from its use were the paratroopers. The weapon was an ideal size for them. However, the effective range and its accuracy was far too insufficient to replace the AKs-74. The vehicle crew members also complained about it. However, they had no choice and had to use it, like it or not. Their complaints were directed at its excessive size. It was an excellent weapon for self-defense in case they had to get out of the vehicles. But these cases were very rare to have to carry a weapon that was only 20 centimeters smaller than the AKs-74. To solve this, they were given holsters similar to gun holsters to carry the weapon. However, it was still very cumbersome in the really reduced interiors of the Soviet armored vehicles. To give you an idea, this is the interior of a Soviet T-72. As you can see, it is a very reduced space, and having a rifle always getting in your way was problematic. The ones who complained the most were the Spetsnaz and other special forces. They used to use the NSPU night vision sight, which was particularly bulky. According to former Spetsnaz agents, the sight on the Kalashnikov nearly covered the whole weapon and felt like having 2 bricks on top of it. The NSPU was generally uncomfortable, but its problems were exacerbated on the AKs-74. Additionally, the PBS-4 suppressor could be used, which only permitted subsonic ammo and semi-auto mode, requiring manual reloading after each shot. Even more problems began to arise when it began to be used in combat. In Chechnya, the Russian infantry was largely equipped with the AKs-74u, which proved to be a complete disaster. They noticed that the rifle suffered from excessive overheating. After several magazines, it began to spit more than shoot. The excessive overheating led to this weapon being used only in bursts. In semi-automatic mode, the rifle could not use GP-25 grenade launchers, which was the most serious problem. Was related to reliability. The weapon's barrel was extremely short and the cartridge it used was intermediate. Due to this, the powder did not completely burn during the detonation of each cartridge. This caused 2 problems. The powder ended up dirtying the barrel and the mechanisms extremely quickly. And also, by burning less powder, there was less gas, so the system operated with less force than necessary, causing failures more quickly. The AKs-74u's bad reputation among soldiers led the Russians to simply discard it in favor of creating new carbines and submachine guns for each role, rather than improving the weapon to solve its problems. This was a great idea, as the main problem with the Kalashnikov was primarily its versatile design. In trying to meet the needs of many different military bodies, it ended up satisfying no one. After the AKs-74u, very good weapons such as the PP-19 Bison or the PP-1901 BTS would emerge, which were undoubtedly very unique weapons and fulfilled a very specific role, doing so excellently. In 2023, the emergency box of aircraft crews no longer included the AKs-74u but the PP-2001, a much more compact weapon with high-pressure ammunition, which offer very good penetration in bulletproof vests. Even for this year, the Russian Army will replace the AKs-74u with the AM-17 and the AMV-17, which will enter service this year. Despite this, the AKs-74u remains 774U remains. The rifle, widely used by police and military forces worldwide since the 70s, seems to have a continuing trajectory. If you enjoyed this video, check out our video discussing side and top-mounted magazine weapons, which you'll likely find interesting. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.